Hi, welcome back. I'm Melissa Pottinger, VP of Payment Ops here at Reach. I am excited to have Adam Anacero here with us from checkout.com. Adam, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Melissa. Really good to be here. Happy to join you today.
Well, Adam, I know we've been talking a long time. The relationship between Checkout and Reach is really great. Would love to hear more about your background in payments and what you do at Checkout.
Yeah, thanks. So currently, I lead our North America account management team at Checkout.com. Very much focused on growth and very much focused on serving our clients. Had a bit of an interesting introduction into e-commerce. Way back in the early days of e-commerce, I actually started selling things on eBay, and I was in late high school at the time, and I decided that I didn't like getting checks and cash in the mail, so I signed up for PayPal. Very early adopter in that respect, but it sort of got me going and got me interested in e-commerce. Fast forward a few years as I was looking for a job out of college and applied to CyberSource, which was eventually purchased by Visa. Started off at the bottom, being a business development representative, making many cold calls a day and sending out many cold emails. Nice thing is careers developed over that, and I was a direct sales rep for many years before moving into leadership. Came over to checkout.com a little over 3 years ago, and it's really been a great experience to help build the checkout.com brand in North America, and then also work with some of our key clients that we've onboarded on the platform over the few years.
For listeners who may not be familiar, how would you describe Checkout's position in the payments ecosystem and what sets it apart from everyone else?
Yeah, good question. So Checkout was founded back in 2012. And essentially what we provide is end-to-end digital global payment acceptance. So I know that's a mouthful, but drilling into that, essentially what that means is we focus on enterprise merchants and we service them through our regional acquiring licenses. So today we can provide in-country acquiring solutions in just over 55 countries. Most excitingly, we actually recently launched Japan, and we'll be launching Brazil later this year. So many of our clients are obviously in the enterprise realm. A few that we announced recently were eBay and Pinterest. And exciting thing about working at a growing business is we should have a few more notable names to announce by the end of the year.
Right? Never a boring day.
Never a boring day at checkout.
Big business, new problems, always exciting. So I know that Reach and Checkout share a very similar vision and excitement around payments performance and optimization. And we were one of the very first customers using intelligent acceptance over 3 years ago now. So what has shaped Checkout's tireless vision around how they approach payments acceptance and improving on that?
Our view on performance is something that it is a better everyday type of environment. We know that that payments is not a science, it's also an art. And that is really what we've tried to do over the years by building our products. So one of the tools, the one you mentioned, intelligent acceptance, it really is meant to take the breadth and scope of data that's coming into the checkout.com system, learn from it, and make it better as a consumable product for our customers. So it's definitely a combination between artificial intelligence and machine learning components. It's something where we have a dedicated team of what we call performance service managers that take a look at a customer's transactions and offer up opportunities of where we should try to enhance their solution and where we can try to enhance their acceptance, along with that machine learning and artificial intelligence aspect of the business. By leveraging the data that Checkout already has, we're able to look at transaction trends, acceptance trends, what a different bank might do, what a different BIN might do, and then from there make sure we send the relevant information in the relevant format that's going to increase that acceptance rate.
Right. And I couldn't agree more. I think at Reach, we hear a lot about how expensive it is to set up local entities, the tax commitment, the regulations there, the compliance. There's so many factors that are a clear barrier to entry, just very, very expensive to move forward on those things. And so it is an easier solution to enable Reach, to activate our solution on top of Checkout's already very good local acquiring.
Well, and I think the other thing too, Melissa, and you've been in payments for a while, like me as well, and we can have a partnership all day long, but if that on paper, but if that partnership doesn't actually get nurtured and doesn't get used and doesn't get overcome obstacles every so often, uh, we don't necessarily have something that's living and breathing. So I think the great example, and certainly I know the checkout.com team has appreciated this, is that Reach has put in a lot of effort to build that. And I like to think we put in a lot of effort as well. But ultimately, it is a situation where we're trying to bring together a solution to solve for our joint clients. And in many cases, that's something that's going to unlock additional revenue for them, but also orders for their end customers in the countries that they operate.
Right. Working with businesses that are, enterprise level. These are larger businesses, and obviously they're keen on being super successful in these new markets. They don't always have their own business operations in those markets. How do you ensure they're successful? And actually, maybe this is a great opportunity to kind of talk about this relationship between Checkout and Reach.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think that's been that is why the Reach and Checkout partnership works so well together. Is Checkout is inherently a local acquirer, and we work to light up payments in a region where a customer has a presence. If, for example, though a customer does not, and they're looking to maybe they see a lot of cross border payments that are coming in through a certain region. They may use a provider, or we may refer a provider, a merchant over to Reach to be able to leverage that local acquiring, reduce their compliance burden as they go into a new region. And ultimately, that may be a region where they want to establish a local presence, but maybe it's not. And maybe it's something that, they like the model of using a merchant provider in Reach to be able to accelerate their offering.
Sure, makes total sense.
One of the great things about the Reach and Checkout partnership is when I got to Checkout a little more than 3 years ago, and worked with our new acquisition team. I was getting to know many of the partners that were out there. And about 3 or 4 months in, we had a couple folks from Reach come to our sales kickoff in New York. One of those people was Melissa, and it was great to meet her at the time. And I think ultimately what I got a sense of is the understanding of payments and the very much uh, collaborative nature that Reach and Checkout had, and the joint benefit that we could bring to customers. Ultimately, in many cases, we were serving very similar customers. But once we were open to and putting our heads together around joint use cases for customers, we were really able to unlock a lot of value. I think one of the best use cases that we've had, and this is within the past year, is Checkout.com had a client in Europe that was selling locally, and it was going great, still going great. But ultimately, they didn't necessarily have a local presence in a region where they were seeing an uptick in volume. And so for them, it made all the sense in the world for us to facilitate an introduction to Reach. And the nice thing is there was a lot of trust, and is still a lot of trust around Reach, where we know we're trying to accomplish the same thing, which is ultimately a better merchant experience and a better end customer experience. And so it was great that we were able to facilitate that and jointly work together on that and solve a customer problem, which was to process in a region and operate locally in a region where they weren't necessarily at the level where they wanted to make that happen on their own.
So you mentioned Checkout is local in 55 countries, and that's obviously really exciting. How do you decide where you're going to set up shop and have local acquiring, and what drives your roadmap there?
Yeah, there's a couple different factors that go into that. There's obviously table stakes countries, ones that are large and predominantly e-commerce. So we certainly operate in those things like the U.S., Europe, and so on. Recently added Canada this year, which, as
That's
you know,
right.
Melissa, Reach was our first customer in Canada, which was
Love it.
amazing. But ultimately, we follow in many ways where our customer needs solutions. So one of Checkout's things that we try to offer is we try to offer a better technical and customer experience than some of the legacy players in the payment services industry out there. And so, disrupting different regions, such as going into Japan recently or expanding in Latin America, have given us opportunities to do that. And so, really, ultimately, our goal, whether it be in Western Europe or whether it be in Japan, is to offer the same set of services with that local flavor.
You mentioned, having uh, countries and presence in these countries. So fast follow to that question is, how do you determine which payment methods are the most relevant for e-commerce shoppers region by region?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is a common dilemma of any merchant or platform out there. There's so many regional payment methods, and which ones are the ones that I should use. Oftentimes, our approach is that we want to have the most relevant payment methods in the regions in which we operate. So in most regions, that's going to be card-based payments. If you look at the U.S. and Canada, obviously cards are predominant. But if we go to certain regions in Europe, they may not as be predominant. So we're always going to offer cards because that's what we do as an acquirer. But making sure we offer those local payment methods are something we always try to do. I think a good example is Checkout's push into MENA, the Middle East, a few years ago. We actually support Tamara, which is a very popular local payment method, as well as Tabby. And so, really, our goal here is to facilitate that rinse and repeat nature for our customers. So, whether they be using a integration method that is a hosted integration method, it's called Flow, or they choose to code themselves, we're trying to make that easier on clients to be able to light up their payment operations as quickly as possible, and obviously offer their end customers the payment methods that they want to pay with on their sites.
So I actually just got an email that on November 5th, Checkout's releasing an improvement to Fraud Detection Pro to reduce false declines. Obviously, that's a tremendous value for e-commerce merchants that depend on getting the good transactions through and keeping the bad transactions out. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, Melissa, that's a good question. Ultimately, Fraud Detection Pro is a product that's meant to safeguard transactions that are coming through the checkout.com platform. Not every customer uses it. We certainly have a strong partner ecosystem when it comes to third party fraud providers or customers who have built their own. But ultimately, what it's meant to do is collect a better quality of data to make a better analysis on a transaction and figure out if we think it's a good transaction or not. Certainly, one of our goals is to reduce false declines as much as possible. As a consumer, I know it's always frustrating when you're trying to enroll in something or buy something or pay for something online and your card gets declined when you know you're a good individual. But at the same time, it's definitely a situation where we also don't want to let fraudsters in with bad actors as well. So it's certainly something that we continually try to enhance this over time. And like all of our monthly communications that come out, as well as through your account manager and other relevant channels like LinkedIn, we're trying to alert our customers and make sure that they are aware of the latest and greatest technology that we're putting together.
Right. We're right there with you on that. I mean, as far as reducing friction, improving optimization rates, and both of which we kind of touched on AI. So I think everyone's talking about AI. It's a hot topic. Rory just did a webinar on agentic commerce, and we're seeing that happen. It is happening now. But I'm always curious, as a business, how does Checkout use AI? What does practical AI at Checkout look like?
Yeah, and AI, I think, if we had been recording and having this conversation a year ago, I don't know how much AI we'd be talking about. And it is amazing how far this has come in the last few months, even. And I'm certainly not going to pretend to be an expert or a futurist. Ultimately, I think for Checkout, we were certainly embracing it. It's something where we actually had a training module for the team that we put out, that we had everyone take to make sure that they knew what tools were available to them to better their job and what tools they had at their disposal to be more efficient. Beyond that as well, Checkout is obviously embracing AI with our products. As we mentioned earlier, intelligent acceptance, things like intelligent routing that we're working on as well around different payment networks. So whether it be the pinless debit networks in the U.S. or the traditional signature networks, we're certainly using AI for that. But then also internally as well, just trying to make little strides in things. So whether that be a more junior person writing a better email, or whether that be someone putting together a presentation, leveraging the collective wisdom and the learnings that AI has with our internal tool has just really helped us become more efficient and allowed us to spend time on the things that matter versus maybe that quick question that you're answering for a colleague, when in reality you can get it done yourself.
So we're both in payments. We see a lot of headlines, some good, some are okay. What's your take on the changes that we're preparing for with VAMP and CEDP and these sort of program enhancements?
Yeah, certainly. I think again, kind of going back to the 3D Secure discussion, just because something's always been there doesn't mean it's the right way to go forward, right? I think we saw enhancements with 3D Secure that certainly helped that for a variety of reasons. My hope is that these same things are going to help with merchant fraud with VAMP, but also the CEDP and making sure that merchants are passing through the data that they need to get the verifications that they need. Specific to VAMP, it's definitely something that's going to be a change, but it's not certainly the first change that Visa's made to their chargeback program and fraud program over the years. So, it is something that merchants, I'm sure, will work through, like anything that's new. But ultimately, like the current programs in place, and like the ones before them, I'm sure that merchants will get used to it, and it'll be something that they'll adopt. Largely because they have to, but also because technology is a ever progressing thing, and we're never sitting on things that are not changing.
We are never bored in payments. Money is moving at all times. Can you share with viewers a key piece of advice for businesses looking to be more successful globally?
I certainly don't pretend to be an expert on a merchant's business; that they are the expert on that. I like to think of myself and Checkout as payments experts. And the nice thing about that is we see a wide variety of different types of businesses. And I think oftentimes when I work with these different types of businesses, there's perhaps the discussion point that we're a very unique business. The merchant being that, and they are a very unique business, right? Whether you're selling insurance or you're selling t-shirts or you're selling watches or digital goods. But there are certain through lines that I think bringing the breadth and scope of checkout.com is helpful to bring to. And so leveraging folks that are bigger than you could be the biggest merchant in the world, and there are certain big merchants out there. But if you're using a collection of data and a collection of analytics and leveraging AI and all the other tools out there, you're probably going to be in a better position to make better decisions associated with not just on a transaction level, but on what countries you should go into, what payment methods you should use. And so I guess my general advice to a merchant is to use the collective wisdom out there. There's probably someone who's done it before you. And if you're using some of those trusted folks, whether it be one of your payment service provider friends, whether it be someone at a conference, whether it be someone at an old merchant that you used to work for, someone's probably done it before, and that's certainly something that I think we can all get to the next phase a little bit more quickly if we're leveraging both the good and the bad from other people's experiences.
So, what is next on the roadmap for Checkout.com?
So Checkout.com is living in very exciting times. We published our annual letter last year. Our founder Guillaume did. And last year we grew 45% in our focus verticals of commerce and fintech, which was great. We're continuing that growth this year. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but expanding into new regions in Latin America, furthering our reach in Japan and other APAC regions are things that are just looking to bring our clients the solutions that they need to operate in the local markets that they operate. We're going to continue to do this through an end-to-end platform. And it is something that we're always looking to leverage all the new tools, whether it be AI or some other acronym that comes about in the future, where we can help our customers process more seamlessly, more securely, and help them grow their businesses just as we're growing ours.
Amazing. Well, Adam, it's been so great having you on the show today. We really appreciate your time. We're excited by the relationship that continues to prosper with Checkout.com and can't wait to share what's coming next.
Thanks, Melissa. I'd love to be there in person next time. And I appreciate everybody's time and the desire to have Checkout.com on and myself. So thank you.
Perfect. If you like today's show, please like and subscribe or visit withreach.com for more information.
Brought to you by the Reach Network. Visit withreach.com/network for more.